Good morning, MegaPodlings. Crazy Joe here. It is a beautiful Wednesday morning. There's some maintenance work going on. There's some people mowing lawns and trimming hedges. So normally I walk in that direction, but there's a guy mowing a lawn over there, and I want you to be able to hear me. And I don't think you'd hear me over the lawnmower. So I'm trying to go in a direction with less sound. So hopefully that works out. Of course, I'm hearing stuff coming from there too, so I may be walking away from that guy mowing a lawn and walking right towards another. We shall see. Also, I'm in the parking lot, so cars, I have to keep an eye out for cars too. It's better walking on the trail. It is better walking on the trail, but what can you do? Lawnmowers. So, I wanted to tell you, you probably heard, it's the news. Star Trek Discovery has cast the role of Spock. Spock will be played in season 2 of Discovery, and here comes the guy mowing the lawn. I can't win. Spock will be... Is that too loud? Jeez. This is the Kobayashi Maru. It's the no-win scenario. In season 2 of Discovery, Spock is going to be played by a young actor by the name of Ethan Peck. Ethan Peck is the grandson of Hollywood legend Gregory Peck. Obviously, I've heard of Gregory Peck. Obviously, I'm familiar with the work of Gregory Peck. But I know nothing about his grandson. I've never seen Ethan Peck in anything. Can't tell you if he's good. Never seen him. But all the roles on Star Trek Discovery have been cast well so far, so I have faith he'll be fine. Gotta say, I'm disappointed though. I'm very, very, very disappointed that it's not going to be Zachary Quinto. I don't know what went on behind the scenes. I don't know if the role was offered to Zachary Quinto and he turned it down. I don't know if the producers never even went to Quinto and decided we're going to go in a different direction. Not a clue. But I do know this. From 1966 to 2009, one man and one man only played the role of Spock. That was Leonard Nimoy. One man and one man only played the role of Kirk. That was William Shatner. All those guys, they were those characters for almost 50 years. And those roles were never recast. Then in 2009, obviously you're doing a story of these characters at the beginning of their careers as younger characters. You can't have actors in their 80s playing the role, so they had to recast. There are times when you have to recast. When you're doing a prequel about younger characters, you got to recast. When your actor dies or is sick or is unable to play the role anymore or quits, instances like this, you have to recast. But I feel like recasting is fine. It has to be done sometimes, but it should be done only when totally necessary. It's always better to have the same actor come back and play the role again, because they come to personify that role in the minds of the audience. It's very distracting at times when you have a different actor step into the role. It should only be done if it has to be done. And I don't think it had to be done here. Now, people have said, oh, but this is 10 years prior to Kirk's Enterprise, and Zachary Quinto is 41, so Zachary Quinto's too old to play Spock at this stage in his life. Nonsense. Zachary Quinto is 41, but he doesn't really look a day older than he did when he first played the role of Spock in the Academy in 2009. He looks exactly the same. And also, digitally you could take out a wrinkle here and there, but he doesn't look any different. It was not necessary to recast that role just because he was younger. Now, he may not have wanted to come back. He may have asked for too much money. These are all possibilities. I don't know what went on behind the scenes. But my feeling is Leonard Nimoy passed the role on to Zachary Quinto. And I would have liked Zachary Quinto to be the torchbearer who holds the Spock character and plays that character as long as he possibly can until he's ready to pass the torch on. And less than a decade seems too short a time for that, quite frankly. Not to mention the fact that right now, as we speak, it's been in the news that there's some contract problems with Star Trek 14. Chris Pine and Chris Hemsworth were supposed to come back for Star Trek 14, and apparently there's a contract dispute, but they say all the other cast members were signed on. So as of this moment, even though Chris Pine and Chris Hemsworth aren't currently signed for Star Trek 14, all the other cast is. That includes Zachary Quinto. So that means for the first time ever, we're going to have two completely different Spocks, a Spock in the movies and a Spock on television. That's a little weird. I mean, to me, as a longtime fan, that seems a little weird because for almost 50 years, it was just one guy. I wish they had kept him. I really do. I wish they could have worked something out with Quinto and he could have been our Spock, because this is just, it just feels bizarre to me that we have two Spocks now. What can you do? I don't know. Maybe Quinto said no. I really have no idea. But in Star Trek 2009, Star Trek 11, whatever you want to call it, they really established that the actors, Chris Pine, Zach Quinto, Simon Pegg, they were the same versions of the characters that we had come to know on television and in the previous movies. They were in an alternate timeline, yes, alternate timeline, but the same guys. It's not like they looked any different. They were exactly the same. And this was established by having Leonard Nimoy there through the use of time travel, and having Leonard Nimoy run into Chris Pine in a cave, look at him, instantaneously recognize him as James Kirk, say, "Oh my God, you're Jim Kirk." They established in that moment that there was no genetic differences between these guys. It was clearly circumstance, clearly a timeline difference, yes, but they were the same versions of the characters, just living in another timeline. It's equatable to how in the episode Mirror, Mirror, they went to an alternate universe, but it was still William Shatner, it was still George Takei, it was still Leonard Nimoy. They were the same guys, just in an alternate universe. And that's what Star Trek 09 was too, and they established that very clearly by having Leonard Nimoy there. And I would have liked to have seen these actors continue on playing those characters for as long as they can in all timelines. For example, if you, let's say they wanted to do a Captain Sulu series about Captain Sulu on the Excelsior, set in the Prime timeline, get John Cho. John Cho is the young Sulu now. That's in my mind. John Cho's the young Sulu, and that he should be Sulu in all timelines. Sulu, there's nothing that says that these characters would look different in different timelines. You know, it's like they're the same guys genetically, only the circumstances of their lives would be different. But you can't make an actor do something an actor doesn't want to do unless you have them to a contract, in which case they could still say no, and then maybe they just pay a fine or get a lawsuit. I don't know. But you can't force their hand, and Quinto may not have wanted to do it. And I hope we get details. I hope the word gets out. If the role was offered to Zachary Quinto, I hope it was, but I don't know. I'm hoping Ethan Peck is a great actor. I'm hoping Ethan Peck is a great Spock. Maybe Ethan Peck will be a better Spock than Zachary Quinto. And that's another thing. A lot of people don't like the Kelvin Timeline movies. There's a lot of Star Trek fans that really, really hate the Kelvin Timeline movies. And that's okay. You don't have to like everything. I don't like all the Prime Timeline movies. I hate Star Trek Nemesis. Doesn't mean I hate the Prime Timeline, but I don't like that particular movie. Just because you don't like a movie, though, doesn't mean an actor wasn't good in the role. Now, the people who I hear complain about the Kelvin Timeline are usually complaining about the scripts, the directions, the stories. They say, oh, well, it doesn't feel Star Trek-y enough, it's too much of an action movie, not enough sci-fi. You know, valid criticisms, I would say those criticisms apply to the original series movies too, because the TV show had time to really delve into issues and ideas. The movies never really did. They were always more action-oriented than the TV series. Like First Contact, that's basically a space zombie movie if you think about it. The Wrath of Khan, that's a revenge movie. They're not delving into some deeper issue about the human condition. At least not as much as the TV series did. So I think if you're going to make those arguments about the Kelvin movies, you got to be fair and do them across the board. Star Trek has never been all one thing. Star Trek has always been many things. Trouble with Tribbles is one of the most popular episodes of all time, and that's basically just an out-and-out comedy. That's what that is. And that's fine. The Star Trek universe is an amazing venue for telling stories because you can fit multiple kinds of stories into that universe. But I'm kind of ranting here. My point that I was trying to make is, even the people who don't like the Kelvin movies, I've never heard them say, I don't like the Kelvin movies because Zachary Quinto is a bad actor or Chris Pine is a bad actor. It's usually story-based. So I would argue that even if you don't like those movies, if you took those exact same actors and put them in a movie or in a story that you do like, you probably would be okay with them. For example, if you had let's pretend The Wrath of Khan, which is the most popular Star Trek movie, let's pretend The Wrath of Khan was never made in 1982. Let's pretend that movie was never made. Now, if we were to make that movie today, same script, same director, but plug in the Kelvin actors, you'd probably like it, right? It's the same story. Now, if we remade it today with the same script, same director, and the Kelvin actors, you'd be like, well, that's a ripoff. We already saw that. We already did that. But assuming it had never been done before and it was being made for the first time ever with those actors, I would think you'd probably be happy with the movie because it's the same movie. I mean, actors bring a lot to the role, so it's not fair to say it's the exact same movie. It would be different, but it would probably still be pretty good, I would think. That's my thoughts. Good luck to Ethan Peck. I hope he's a great Spock. I hope he's fantastic. I hope he's better than Quinto. But I'm really disappointed that we couldn't have one Spock for this generation the way my generation and the generation before me, because I'm kind of a second generation Star Trek fan. I was not born in 1966. Multiple generations had one Spock, and now suddenly we've got our third Spock and two Spocks concurrently. It feels weird to me. Maybe the younger audience, maybe the millennials who never grew up with the original series, who only know Spock from the Kelvin movies, maybe this is like nothing and they're just like us, so what, it's another Spock. But to my generation, I think, not that I could speak for my whole generation, but I think to us it feels weird because we're used to there just being one guy. In any event, I can't wait to see Star Trek Discovery Season 2. Just Season 1 was awesome, and more Star Trek is always a good thing. Keep on wearing those pajamas.